Hi guys. So I got the barn pretty much done up enough that we can bring the animals here this weekend, which fingers crossed this all goes well. It is going to be a little bit tricky for us to move the goats just because we are moving them in the back of the Envoy, so we're going to have to do several trips to get them here. Thankfully, our biggest goat, Lucky, he actually rides really well in vehicles. He's ridden in the backseat of our Sonic before. Like, he's super chill as long as he's with his people. Like, he's a good boy as long as all of his needs are met. But so really hoping that goes well tomorrow. But today it was pretty much just crunch mode, just getting it done. So I want to give you guys a preliminary tour because things are going to change again once we get everybody here and all that stuff. I just had to get things going enough that we can bring them here. So without further ado, here is my future milking area. It's going to be in here. This 2x4 here is not going to stay here. I'm going to actually build out either for a door or a gate to go in this area here. But for now, this works. I put a 2x4 across here and then a 2x4 down at the bottom that run across there. And then I put up fencing and I stapled the fencing. So I'm hoping that nobody's that excited to try to jump the fence because Lucky, our one goat, he's our biggest. He can jump over a 4-foot fence. He's actually been able to clear a 5-foot fence. So as long as his needs are met and he's happy, he stays in. He has no issue staying in as long as he's satisfied. So it's kind of one of those things of, gee, we just got to do a lot to make him happy and satisfied, which I'm sure a lot of you are probably like, why do you keep this goat? It's because of doing farmers markets. He is basically the most friendliest dude ever when it comes to human time. So he's great for kids to play with. He's basically like a petting zoo champion and stuff. We have him, and then we have our bottle baby Dandy. He's not a bottle baby anymore, but he was. He's super duper friendly too. So I mean, it's going to be great for us to be able to bring clients that Tracy has and stuff like that, mental health clients that she takes care of, to be able to bring them here in the summertime to let people play with the goats, to do a lot of community outreach stuff for people that have handicapness, disabilities, people that are MRDD, that sort of a thing, to be able to open up our property because I'm making everything handicap accessible. It's going to be amazing for us to be able to open up the property to allow a lot of people of every background to be able to come here and get to experience a piece of life that most people don't get to, and just to be able to experience the level of peace that we're cultivating here. So anyways, that's why we have goats that are kind of a pain in the butt to deal with, because they're so freaking friendly and so loving, and they're really good ambassadors for what goats can do, especially doing like goat therapy. And yeah, anyways, getting lost in the weeds here. But so this wall here, I ended up framing it out. I had to do the cross members a little bit wonky just because I needed to make sure that I had place to put the fencing. In the future, this wall here, the bottom of it at least, is going to have plywood on it, probably just OSB. But I would like for this area in here to end up being fully enclosed, at least on this wall here, because it'd be nice to be able to essentially heat where I'm going to be milking at least to have like a plug-in space heater or something, just so that way it's not quite so cold, because last year I was milking when it was negative 30 degrees outside, and that sucked. The milk kept freezing in the lines, and it was a pain. So I don't want to have to deal with that anymore. So eventually, like I said, this wall here is going to be enclosed off. And for now, in the future, because I fenced it all off, this is also going to be in this area in here is where we're going to store all of the feed for the goats and the chickens and ducks and geese and the rabbits and everybody. So I ended up running the fence along here so that way I can just bypass them using the shelf as a way to crawl through one way or the other. Goats are basically toddlers. Like, you got to basically just toddler proof your property for goats and stuff. So I am eventually this is going to get opened back up, so in that shelf there, the goats can play on it, lay on it, that sort of a thing. I think because of us having the goats in with the chickens for as long as we have, they've sort of adapted to how, trying to get the lighting better. There we go. They've sort of adapted to how the chickens sleep, of being like on perches and stuff. The goats really like to be up off the ground, so it's their thing. But so eventually this here, I'm going to end up walling this off as well and making it so it's fully enclosed. And then I already started the framing somewhat for this to do the same thing. And this is open right now. It will probably end up being done with OSB as well, just so that way the goats can't see the ducks and geese as much. So this door here, the only thing left for me to do is I do have to drill a hole here so that way the door will latch, which I'm probably just going to do that tonight. because I'm pretty tapped out actually. So I don't know if we're gonna have to end up putting up fencing up here or not. Originally, when we had said that we were gonna put the chickens in here, we had to fence this off so that way the chickens wouldn't pop out of here, but the ducks and geese can't fly. So probably just gonna leave it as is like this. And then this area here, put a fence up so that way goats can't get in there. This is also the start of the stall for one of the mamas that's gonna be having babies soon. They are due, I think it's March 5th that they're due. But in the past, every single time that our goats have kidded, they have kidded a week early. So that's part of why we're like, we've got to just go. That way the goats can feel comfortable here. They can be established here and we can see how the barn setup works for them before I start enclosing anything all of the way. Because I don't know if this space in here is going to be good enough or comfortable enough for the goats, or if they're just going to hate it, or if it's going to be too small. And obviously because there are joists up in here, I can easily just bump this out a little bit further. So I'm kind of at a pause right now, waiting till we get the goats in here, waiting so that way I can see how much space they have, how comfortable they seem in that area before I wall it off any further, before I put any gates up, before I create anything else and stuff. Plus too, running out of time, running out of energy. This back and forthness that I've been having to do is exhausting. Beyond belief. Like, it's just, that was one of the things when we were looking for housing that we were really like set a limit on how far it was from the old house because of me knowing that I would have to go back and forth every day to get everything ready to go. And I knew that that's not going to be sustainable for me for very long. It is very hard for me to stick with a very rigid schedule of having to leave all of the time. It's very difficult for me. But anyways, so got that done. This is all open still because I need to really see how the goats behave and stuff. There is the availability that I can build another stall over in this area if I need to. I don't know if I'm going to need to or not. But so yeah, the goats have pretty much a whole bunch of space. So it's a nice big area that they're going to have. This, like I said, this whole open space is all going to be for them, which is going to be, I would say, probably 4 times the amount of space, maybe even 5 times the amount of space that they have in the old barn. So I mean, they're going to be so happy living their high life. They're going to be living the best life possible. So the only thing left for me to do, which I'm going to do that tomorrow once we get everybody here, is I will have to cut a hole into the barn, the side of the barn here, because that's where their pasture's at. I'm going to wait until we get all the goats here, so that way while we're still in transition, because it's going to take 2 or 3 trips. So I'm going to end up spending tomorrow probably 3, maybe 4 hours in the car driving. So it's going to be quite exhausting. Once I get all that done and stuff, shoot, got distracted. This is so hard for me to keep track of everything at this point. But once the goats are all here, so that way we can keep the door shut and locked, so that way nobody escapes while we're in transition. Once everybody's here, then I will cut open the doorway and then build a way to close it off. It might end up being, depending upon time-wise, it might end up being Saturday that I do that. I'm not really sure. I have no idea how well this is going to go tomorrow. But for those of you wondering, the chickens in the camper are doing fantastic. So they've all been very happy. I went and I checked on them this morning, and everybody was just thrilled. So it's been working out really nice to have the camper there. You actually, when the roosters are crowing and stuff, once you get up towards the house, you can't hear them at all. So it's pretty nice, actually. This house is far better insulated than any place I think we've ever lived before, and especially in terms of like soundproofing. So definitely huge thanks to the previous owner, to Dawn, for basically building me the perfect house. Like, everything is just, I don't think I could say it enough times of just how much gratitude I have for the decisions that he made, the way that he did things, the way that everything is set up, and the way that I can just sort of plug and play. It's been mind-blowing how much of a blessing this has been. But so yeah, anyways, that's it for today. I am exhausted. I've got to get my hands cleaned up. I got to take the rest of my tools back in the house and check on the cats. We brought the cats here. I brought the cats here this morning, and the one, she just the whole way here was freaking out. Like, I had them all in cages and stuff, and Nala was just like meowing the entire drive here, just like, and it wasn't just like a curious meow. It was like, I'm being murdered, torn apart to bits and pieces, somebody save me meows. And it was tough. It was very, very difficult to deal with. So anyways, thanks for watching. Have a good one, guys.